Hello everybody, welcome into Ghost Racing Network. Tonight we are back with some FEG-PC money racing. Got a special guest in the booth. You're probably used to seeing him join me over for the PGR Talladega Superspeedway series, but he brings himself here tonight. That's my co-host Matthew Baker. Baker, we got a little bit of a smaller field tonight, but hey, I think the racing's going to be great.
Yeah, it's going to be good. You know, this new update we have with the new damage model, it's changed the draft package completely. Last night, you and I saw it when we were running Ron's race, and we saw the pushing in the corners is able to happen, and you're going to really see the aggressive people shine, people like Kyler Wynn, Jason Maines, and Dylan Jones up front all the time. And
it really encourages guys to push a lot more. You don't have to worry about spinning out as easily, at least through the corners in the tribal. And I think the tribal is probably that biggest gain. I know with some of the guys during the race that we had last night, I could push them through the tribal, and it seemed like although the bottom now is less dominant than it used to be, it can get a big run out of the corner. Guys get clear up, and we have seen a lot of shuffling. But before we talk any more about that, let's talk about your race info here tonight. Of course, we are in the FEG-PC NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. It's going to be 30 laps here with 50% fuel, unlimited tires, one faster pair for all these guys per usual, fixed setups, and 10 green-white checkers. Might as well call it unlimited. Weather outside, 79 degrees Fahrenheit, 54% humidity, partly cloudy skies, and winds are at 2 miles an hour. 2.65-mile oval here at Talladega Superspeedway. Track temp going to be starting at 84 degrees Fahrenheit here, so that's certainly not going to be a concern for these guys. And with no concerns, let's go ahead and get right into the starting grid. On pole tonight, looks like we're going to have one of the newer drivers. Don't see this guy too much. That's going to be Mason Cassidy in the 9 truck. Interested to see what he can do here. Starting in second is going to be Ron Morris Jr. John Mullihan in third. Fourth is going to be George Fonseca. Kyler Wynn fifth. Jason Maines in sixth. Row 4 is going to be John Ward in seventh, with Chad Ross eighth. Ken McCall Jr. in ninth. And rounding out that top 10 is, as always, one of the fan favorites, Ambrose Knievel.
What do you got? Joshua McCullough in the 05 and 11th. Mark Vondell for another McCullough Motorsports driver in P12. Danny Eshelman in 13th, and rounding out the field is Dylan Jones. Small field tonight, but it's going to be a lot of good racing. Like we said, it's a new draft package. It reminds me of the mini next gen. That's what I like to call it. It really helps you learn how to push in the corners, learn how to push well, and manage those temps.
And there's a little quick look there at your pole sitter, Mason Cassidy. Again, we're going to be keeping an eye on him. I don't think all these guys necessarily chose to qualify, but you know, you'll probably hear us talking about it a lot more, but we're certainly going to start talking about it tonight. The way these trucks work is going to be probably a lot different than anybody watching has ever seen before. And I don't think we're going to see as many wrecks, first of all, but I think we are going to see a lot more lead changes, a lot more passing, and a lot more the teams that are willing to, well, maybe not willing, but more or less coordinated better. You know, they have the better chemistry. I think they're going to be the ones that finish in the front here.
Absolutely, and I'm excited to see the side draft. You could definitely tell the right quarter has a little bit more of a side draft whenever the top lane's on the bottom. Like we talked about, that the bottom lane isn't as dominant in the beginning, but definitely when it gets 3 wide, that bottom starts to surge. The pace car pulls off going in the tribal here.
It's going to be 30 laps once again. No stage breaks planned, but at that 50% fuel, we are going to see a pit stop here, assuming we can go green all the way. Speaking of green, we are rolling up to the Geico restart zone, and the green flag is in the air. We are racing at Talladega. Pretty good even restart, at least for the second row back, but up front, Mason Cassidy destroys the field on the restart. Looks like John Mullihan is going to jump right to the outside. Now on the restarts with the new package here, it seems like it takes a little longer for everybody to get wound up and get going, so watch for whichever lane can get 2 to 3 trucks tagged together. And speaking of tagged together, Kyler Wynn is already on the back of the 9 truck. I don't know if he's got really any teammates out here tonight, so he's going to try to find a partner here early.
And you're going to watch for Kyler Wynn to be one of the most aggressive ones. John Ward's definitely had a lot of practice with this new package, putting up all the money races that he puts up. So look for him to dominate up front as well. John Mullihan had a great run last night that came to the end short. Look for his luck to turn around as well. But looks like one of those new cars out front still. You've got Mason Cassidy out front with Kyler Wynn behind him.
Well, let's do some math here real quick, because these guys are looking like they're being really conservative here. We're not used to this, at least not after the race that we were in last night. So 50% fuel, Baker, I got to assume for these guys it's probably somewhere between 14 to 17 laps, depending on how much you save. Do you think that's why these guys are staying so lined up early?
Yeah, I think they're trying to save enough fuel on this first run That way they could push it hard on the second run, but it's right at the split window, around 15 to 16 laps. Pull up my calculator, see what we get.
We still got a couple drivers trying to make their way towards the front. Looks like George Fonseca is going to try to lead. He's got Ken McCall Jr. behind him, but it looks like they're not going to make too much progress yet. It's kind of weird. It seems like you do kind of have to have that third truck on the initial start, but then if you get locked up with that truck in front of you, you can really just kind of plow your way to the front, even if you don't have any help behind. But they're going to get some here. Chad Ross jumps to the outside too. I believe that's the only Team 3 driver in the field tonight. And speaking of teams, looks like McCall Motorsports has the most drivers in the field tonight. Certainly going to give them an advantage. But how about two of the newer guys leading the way here now? Mason Cassidy, who got the pole, still leads on the bottom, but George Fonseca with a big run in the 24 truck on the outside. He's looking to take the lead halfway down the backstretch.
And he's going to get that lead. You're going to see Ken pull out of line. He's pushing the new guy out front. Maybe he's a little bit of a strategy move to try and push him out front, use a lot of fuel up. That way they got to stop early. You see Ken McCullough drop into the back. I think that's what's happening there.
Certainly wouldn't doubt it, but you know, that's exactly what we saw right there. I mean, this inside line, they're certainly still pushing, maybe not quite as hard as what we're going to see towards the end, but man, the outside flew. It almost looked like they got two trucks worth clear. Ken didn't take it, but that's part of that tandem. They really got locked up. I think Ken may have also been getting a little warm as he did drop back towards the back, but same thing here. It looks like Chad Ross, he's going to get clear, but this time it looks like the inside isn't really pushing that hard. You got to wonder if the 9's trying to save some fuel now, or if that's just a little bit of inexperience, leaving too much of a gap, and now he's not going to be able to close it up before that outside line all gets clear.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the veterans. You know, I'm looking at Jason, I'm looking at Kyler, looking at Dylan, and they're staying about 2 truck lengths to truck length off, trying to save as much fuel as possible. 9.3 gallons is what they're going. They burn about 0.6 a lap, so that looks about 14 laps. 30-lap race, you're probably 1 or 2 short, so you're definitely going to need to save some fuel. That's very hard to do in a one-stop race.
And we're going to take a ride on board here real quick with Jason Maines. Listen to the throttle input. You see, he's just keeping the gap. He knows he's got a little bit of aero push behind him, and he certainly doesn't need to worry about getting on John Ward's bumper as long as he can stick in the draft. And meaning that, I think we're going to see everybody run it out, as Baker noted, and if anybody can pit lap 14 to 15, it's going to be borderline. If you do 15 to 16, I think you might be able to make it, assuming you can save a little bit more in the draft. But again, if we get a caution, which we do see a lot of times in these money races, then that throws all the strategy out the door, and fuel's not going to matter. It is going to come down to who wants to win it the most and who can push the hardest. But add a character here for what we're used to seeing a lot of times in these money races. Actually not just about, the entire field is all single file. Looks like everybody that started the race is still up here running strong. 14 truck strong rather, with Mark Vondel currently rounding out the back. He's got a couple teammates in Ken McCall Jr. and Joshua McCall in front of him. Ron Morse Jr. as well, and then Dylan Jones, John Mullihan, first 2 trucks inside the top 10 in 9th and 10th place. But still up front, Chad Ross has led the last couple laps. In third, Ambrose Canivo. Looks like his paint scheme hasn't loaded in for us just yet. But the 04 truck, fan favorite. What do you think, Baker? Could he get a win here tonight?
I would love to see Ambrose get a win. You know, Thursday nights he can't run the PGR races, so I've never been able to call a live event for him. I've always wanted to. Love Ambrose. He's one of the funniest guys out here. One of the nicest guys out here. He may make a couple mistakes, but man, he's a fun time to have in the chat and to talk to, and definitely one of the most genuine guys we have out here. So it'd be nice to see him get a win.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I have a highlight reel with some of Ambrose's interviews on Friday nights. The regulars will know what I'm talking about with that, and they're definitely some of the classics if we're ever going to make that reel. But hey, looking at the field here, everybody's still staying single file, and although we probably expect everybody in this field to either pit on the same lap or only 1 lap difference, it's only 1 scheduled pit stop. So when you do decide to go in, probably in about 10 laps or so here, you got to make sure you do everything perfect. If you make any mistakes on pit road, your night's probably going to be over. I just don't think we have enough trucks that if we can stay green till the pit stop here, I think that chance of caution probably drops by half.
And I can see Jason pulling off about 5 car lengths. They really, I don't know if maybe this new damage model has affected their fuel saving ability. There's also a new update with the tape. You have race and qualify. That's their only selection. And the fixed setup, it's race, so it's 0% tape. I don't know if that's affecting how much they're going to be able to save fuel, but it's what we had pre the update. It was definitely 14 to 15 laps. So 14 laps is 2 laps short, so you really got to save hard here, especially a 30-lap race. That's a hard save.
So up front, you got Chad Ross still leading the way. Danny Eshelman second. Ambrose Knievel third. He is up 7 spots from where he started. So is Chad Ross, but Danny Eshelman's your biggest mover right now, up 11 from where he started. And it's going to be George Fonseca in 4th, and Mason Cassidy, the pole sitter, rounding out your top 5. And you know, I think everybody, when these kind of races come down to where it's kind of that fuel strategy right on the edge, I think it makes everybody kind of have to be patient early, which I always felt like translate to a lot cleaner racing towards the end. This is a good opportunity, although you're saving fuel, just to kind of work on making sure you keep that wheel extra straight, kind of timing up runs. And oh man, John Mullihan, is he thinking about pitting? We had a couple guys drop down. I'm thinking maybe they were thinking about trying to fake the field out there, but nobody bit.
Yeah, it's tough to fake out, you know, the veterans with Jason and Tyler.
But I feel like it's odd, you know, for them to have done it that early. I mean, I don't think anybody would expect anybody to be going in this soon unless they fully committed to no chance on making it with one stop. But go ahead.
Yeah, I think that they should have, if they were looking for a 2-stop strategy, it would have pit like at lap 3. It'd be too late to pit now to try and do a 2-stop strategy, try and catch the field. Because you would need a lot of laps to try and make that up if you're doing a 2-stop, and these people are saving fuel. Bondell's burning fuel up on the high side, but while we got everyone single file, let's talk about this new package. iRacing did an update. They updated the draft model, and what it does is we have pieces that fall off the truck. The front bumper can come off the front clip, quarter panels, deck lid, the tailgate, and you name it, it can come off this truck. Well, what that's done is it's made this draft model to where you can slam draft the person in front of you. And you'll see it when it comes crunch time. As we're talking about crunch time right now, you're seeing Vondell getting pushed by Ken. You're going to get a good example here. If he can get hooked up to him and watch that tandem draft happen, he'll be able to stay locked onto his bumper all the way around the track and stay pushed up tight to him, and he'll be able to push him to the front. A tandem truck, if you have a third car in line, that middle line is almost unstoppable.
And you know what else it does is it gives guys, well, you know what, hold that thought for a minute. Look at the progress these two are making. I mean, they're just picking trucks off one by one here. Now, of course, the inside is saving some fuel right here, but the other thing that the new draft package has done for everybody is it's kind of allowed you to get those runs going at any point during the race. But another thing that I felt like I noticed in practice that I think we're going to see sooner or later is, you know, if we get one of these last laps where there's a little bit of an incident in the back and you're that second truck in line, let's say you have a 2-truck breakaway, you really have a lot more of a chance to kind of time up that move. If you stick to the back bumper of a truck and you only have a couple behind you disorganized, you can start to pull away, and that could very well help you set up a move for the end of the race. So I think we're going to see a lot less of guys maybe trying all these desperation moves and just trying to find someone that they know they tandem with all race and see if they can't find him towards the end. And as soon as you get locked on, go. It doesn't matter what part of the track it is, straightaway, turns, triable. These things seem to hook up just fine anywhere these guys have tried it.
And a great move there by Kenton and Vondell getting to the front. Looks like Ken's going to maybe drop to the back again. Don't really understand that move, but he had a good job pushing all the way up to the front to get lined up with his teammates. Maybe he's going to try and split the teammates. He'll have 4 up front and 4 in the back. Probably a good move by Ken there, as he's the team leader for McCullough Motorsports.
You got to wonder, is he maybe trying to test out? You know, that draft package is still pretty new for everyone. I think everybody in here, or most of the guys in here, only have 1 race under their belt with it. So maybe he was trying to, you know, just test it out a little bit. Maybe he's got a little more fuel in the tank than everybody else's. He was running the farthest towards the back for the most part since the restart. But either way, going back here, looks like John Mullihan, he's falling back just a little bit again. I think this is by design. And there's the 14 of Dylan Jones. Again, we kind of, for me, he's always like the Kevin Harvick in real life. He seems to come out of nowhere. You might as well give him the nickname the closer, because I'm sure at the end of this deal, he's probably going to have himself somewhere in that top 5.
Absolutely, and he's a lot of fun to watch. And he's going to only have Jason as a teammate. Usually the Mains boys, you see about 3 or 4 of them lined up. We need to get them a new team name. I'm tired of calling them the Mains boys. I'm getting Garrett to give them a team name. Maybe Public Enemy #1 or something along those lines, because when they're in a race, they're always got a big target on their back. I'd love to give them a good name like that.
Certainly would be, and I guess it's ironic that probably one of the best teams, I mean, well, we know NBG Motorsports, of course, your team, and then the Mains Group were the 2 top teams from the big team event last night. And if you missed that, go check it out. I believe it's somewhere on Southern Broadcast Gaming Network's Twitch. was a pretty wild event. Crazy ending. We're going to not talk too much about that, but overall, we got to see which teams were out here to win and which teams maybe didn't quite have what they thought. But up front, still Chad Ross. You know, Baker, if he stays up front here like he's doing, do you think he can stick on that one-stop strategy?
I don't think he can. He's probably going to have to pit here in about 2 or 3 laps. I don't think they saved enough in the beginning. As you see Jason pulling out, you see Dylan pulling out, and Kyler as well. Maybe Jason's working with Kyler right now. They're definitely going to try and go to the front here because they've saved enough fuel. They're going to try and decrease that delta from being in the mid pack to trying to get to the front pack. You're going to see a push to pusher situation right here. Jason's going to give a big shot to Kyler, and this is where you're going to see that new draft package kick in. You're going to be able to see Dylan tuck up, and then he'll start to lose a little bit because that tandem will start to come in. If Kyler's checks up just enough, as you see a massive run coming on the outside, they're all 3 going to clear as they come around here. Chad may look to pit this time, if not next time, but all 3 of these trucks are going to clear down, and they do.
For sure, and also, you know, we used to be able to see kind of 2 trucks, you know, somewhat get together, maybe try to tandem a little bit, but the one guy was usually pretty unstable. But now we can see 3 do it pretty stable as long as you have decent team chemistry, and that also changes things a lot. If you're a single truck, maybe even just a pair of trucks, and you have 3 guys that are tandem up and they go flying by you, unlike the old package, you really can't hang on to that draft anymore.
No, and if you're a single car and you fall all the way to the back, Ken's done a good job of tucking in line, finding gaps in, but if you fall to the back and you're not up to speed, you'll lose that draft immediately.
A couple quick shout outs to the people watching here tonight. We haven't had a ton of viewers, but hey, we've had about the same amount of guys in the field tonight, so not too bad. It looks like it's been ranging between 10 and 13. Baker's mom in here checking things out. Hold that thought. Pit stops underway here. Looks like the mains group stays out. This is going to be the group that I think is probably not so good on fuel. And they all coordinated this, so I wonder if these guys are all together. Looks like Chad Ross, who was your leader, leads them down. Ambrose Knievel goes in. So does George Fonseca and Mason Cassidy. So the 2 new drivers, maybe they're trying to get something to going together.
Yeah, it looks like a split strategy between the 2 McCullough Motorsports teams. Trying to hedge their bets to catch up to the mains group, but a new thing with this draft package as well, it seemed that the bigger group you're in, the faster you go. I mean, we're going 190, 192 into the corners when we were, you know, 40 cars deep, but as soon as you get separated, you can see right here, you're going 188 into the corner, decreasing to about 184. So 3 trucks, definitely not the way to go here, as they're going to come down pit road this time, and McCullough Motorsports is going to follow behind. They're going to definitely have a delta here, as you're going to see the mains group get in with Kyler very well. The McCullough Motorsports guys send it in, and they get down even as well.
Boy, I saw a lot of lockups there. It'd be interesting to see if anybody get a speeding penalty, but everybody did keep it clean, getting on and getting into their box. Ken McCall Jr. made up a lot of time in catching that mains group on his entry to pit road. But, you know, just as you noted there, the top speeds have certainly seemed higher just overall. That being, you know, with the bigger the draft you're in. I mean, last night it seemed like if you were hanging behind, you know, mid-pack on back, I was redlined for just about both straightaways the whole time, and even entrance into the corners. I'm talking mid to high 190s. So even if you have 3 trucks locked up, you're still maybe not going to run quite as fast. We'll have to see how it works here, and we're going to watch for that second group that was led by Chad Ross here. I think they're going to tag on to at least some of these guys, but it doesn't look like they got the ideal stop, and Mason Cassidy must have had an issue because he has dropped pretty far off these guys. He just now enters turn 1 as everybody else is out of 2.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about, is the bigger pack seems to have the more speed than 3 cars, and they're going to be able to tag onto the back of this draft. They're just going to have to work together with these 3 stragglers that they're going to catch up to, but you can see the mains group, they executed well. They got the strategy they wanted, and they're 3 trucks out front.
And then I also want to give a shout out in the chat to J.R. Miller. Saw him in the team race last night. He is out here. I'm sure we'll see him tomorrow night as well. Speaking of tomorrow night, check out some of the events that we have tomorrow night along with Friday night. In fact, that's the first event I want to bring up because that's where FEG-PC Money Racing, I believe, is going to head next. They might have, no, they don't have anything tomorrow night, I don't believe. But hey, if you're not going to have one tomorrow, you might as well go ahead and put on a doubleheader on Friday. Make sure you check this out. Looking like pretty good payout. $16 entry for the early race, green flag at 9. And then it's going to be a little bit higher of an entry fee, but bigger payouts for race 2 at $26 to enter. $640 payout. That race is going to go green at 10. So that means that first race, you got to assume, is pretty short. Second one might not be too long as well. Be interesting to see then. And then, of course, tomorrow we have the PGR Intimidator Super Speedway Series that me and my co-host here, Matthew Baker, will be at. And Baker's been working a little something special for everybody back home. I'm not going to give it away just yet. We're going to save the big reveal for when it happens, but I certainly appreciate the work that you've been putting in each and every week, Baker, and I know everybody at home has certainly enjoyed you being here, and you're probably about the most knowledgeable guy that I can think of when it comes to watching these guys go around.
And you are as well. I mean, you talked about what happens when you don't get tucked up in the draft. It took Jason an entire lap, if not a lap and a half, to get to the back bumper of Kyler there. He couldn't get to the 3 trucks that passed him around the outside. He wasn't able to tuck up in the draft at all. And you see Vondell going to the high side. Looks like he had a pit road problem. But it looks like it's going to be a 6-car shootout here.
And we still have some guys that not 100% sure on if they're good on fuel or not. In fact, it looks like half of this back group, I would say, it's really, really close. Looks like Ambrose Kniebel, the 24, George Fonseca, and then I think that, yep, Chad Ross, the 05, Joshua McCall. I think he's okay, and I think Ron Morse Jr. and Danny Esserman might be okay. So that's kind of a mixed group, but right now their main focus has to be trying to close in and get back to this front group. And it looks like they're slowly closing it down here. It's really slow right now. I think they're going to have to pick up the pace, but if they can get it within about a second and a half, then they can certainly have enough to get there. And it looks like they might have a little lap car here that's going to act as a bridge. I believe that's Mark Vondell in the 59. That could definitely help their chances here.
Yeah, it'll definitely help. What's also going to help is Jason's not staying tucked up to the back bumper here. Maybe they're trying to save as much fuel as they can. As you see John Ward pull out, I think they're saving fuel as well. It's very close for everyone to make it here. And I don't think the mains group has a problem with staying in line, riding, staying off the throttle a little bit, trying to get that gap closed between the first and second pack. That way they know they're saving enough fuel, and that second pack won't really have a chance.
And I don't think they're really saving for overtimes here. I think they're just saving so that when they want to go, they don't have to worry about starting to go, and then all of a sudden, we got to save some more fuel. But up front, the 2 McCalls, well, not the McCalls, the 2 McCall Motorsports drivers, Ken McCall Jr. and John Mullahan, they're looking like they're not too worried about fuel right now. We'll have to see how this strategy works out. Dylan Jones, Kyler Wynn, and Jason Maines, you know, when there's going to be a move, the first move rather, it's going to be from those 3, and then the 92 of John Ward is probably going to make it an even 3-on-3 battle up here. And just as I thought earlier that second pack was catching up, it looks like they're still catching up a little bit. And just as I say that here, it's starting to fade back down. They got it to down to about 4.5 seconds, and now it's going to get back closer up to 5. But up front, we're still staying single file with 10 to go, and I think this is a good time to do a little FEG crank it up. Here we go. Back live at Talladega Superspeedway, and that's going to conclude our Crank It Up segment. I hope everybody did enjoy. Up front, it's still Ken McCall Jr., followed by his teammate John Mullahan. Dylan Jones still sitting in third. Kyler Wynn and Jason Maines is 2, what we assume to be teammates. going to be backing him up here when they decide to make a move. And John Ward, we kind of noted this when me and Baker were talking here during the Crank It Up segment. Not a big deal, but it looks like he switched over to the Ford side. So the 92, we're used to seeing him in a Chevy, but looks like he has indeed switched over to the F-150. We'll see if that brings him any better luck or not. But we're coming to 6 laps to go here, and I don't think we're going to see anybody make that move until probably 2 to go, but I'm thinking more realistically maybe the white flag. What do you think on that move, Baker?
Yeah, I think with the new package, you can make up a lot of ground in the first, straightaway. I think it's going to be straight out of 2, and the bad part for the McCullough Motorsports guys is you got John Ward in the back of this pack, so once those 3 go high, there's not much Mullahan and Ken are going to be able to do besides try and block, but I don't see them really doing that.
Well, looking back here, Danny Eshelman, who's still leading that second pack, they've fallen to almost 6 seconds. Now they're starting to catch back up, but at this point, they got to catch probably almost a second a lap if they want to get back up there. Just starting to look slowly more and more unrealistic. A caution would certainly help their case, but if you're in this front group, I don't think you're thinking about getting too racy because if you don't get a caution, your chances of winning money certainly increased. And it looks like tonight the payout is going to be top 5, assuming that it stayed that way. And looking at it, everyone except for one driver up here is going to be getting some money to go back with. John Ward being that solo truck, well, not solo truck, but the solo guy that's not in the money right now. He sits last in this group, but he's going to have to try to help his teammates out. And we're going to see a 3-on-3 tandem, and the top seems to be the preferred lane, especially here at Talladega, where the start-finish line's a little bit further than the tri-oval. And I think you can still get it if you're on the bottom. I almost think whoever has the bigger run out of 4 isn't going to win it, because it seems like now, Baker, also with this new draft package, that you get that big run, but then the other lane gets an even bigger run until things kind of mellow out again.
Yeah, and what we talked about with the side draft, if you grab that right quarter panel, it's going to pull that truck on the bottom lane up. So look for that to be a huge factor. Look for Ward to maybe try and get that side draft on Jason. That way they can't get 3 trucks up to that top and get rolled around before they can clear, before John gets to the inside. That way Mullahan, Ward, and Kenny can all push together on the bottom lane. It's going to be a good fight to the finish. Hopefully the move isn't as late as we think it is. Mullahan may throw a block. Kenny may throw a block. I don't see Kenny really throwing a block. The wild card's probably going to be Mullahan.
Definitely not a bad block by any means, but that 9 truck looks like, actually, this is a perfect representation right here. He was at full speed, and I don't know. It's going to be really borderline here on if he can hang on to this draft. Of course, he is a lap truck, so it doesn't mean much, but that's just a good representation right there. If this whole pack would have been tight, hold that thought. I reckon. Big on the front stretch. Mullahan hard into the outside wall. The 14, Dylan Jones, down into the grass. Caution.
Well, now we're going to get the finish that we've wanted to see. It's going to stack them up 2 by 2, and we're going to have a great finish here.
I was not expecting that. That one caught me off guard, and something's telling me this is going to be somebody making a block that you might have predicted here, Baker. Let's see if that's indeed the case. Thought I saw the 2 kind of dart out of line. All of a sudden, I saw 2 guys hooking into the outside wall. So it looks like Dylan Jones is going to be the first one to shoot out of line, tried to catch these guys off guard, and he's got the run here. And then, Mullahan just turns up, wasn't clear, and they pile up from there. Those 2 trucks, that is.
Yeah, and what did I talk about? I said that you get on that right quarter panel, it pulls the truck up unintentionally. Your wheel turns to the right. If that car gets close to you, there's not much you can do besides hold the wheel to the left and try and get down. Sounds like we're hearing from race control. It's Mullahan's fault, obviously. He came over the radio, said he thought he had room. I mean, he was nowhere close. But it looks like the run, he wasn't really expecting that big of a run coming high with Kyler.
And that's exactly like the next gens. We know when somebody gets on your quarter panel to side draft, not only does it feel like you lose about 10 miles an hour in speed, but all of a sudden you're wondering why you can't seem to control the wheel. But riding on the onboard view here, and it looks like Mullahan maybe just slightly drifts up, although, even though I say that, his wheel really didn't move. The input looked pretty steady there, so that might have been a little bit of a mix, That's a tough call, tough break, but if you're the guys at the back, you are saying thank you right now, and we're going to take a look back here just to make sure Ambrose, I think he just came to a stop here, missing the wreck, but we want to make sure he wasn't involved in any sort of a wreck himself right here. And I think he's just going to come to a stop. Yep, sure enough, he is. Well, not sure if he had an issue here or what. Yeah, he comes to a stop on the backstretch. Either way, let's go back up front. Going to be a very interesting restart here. Couldn't tell if anybody pit because we're just coming back from the replay. I'd be a little shocked if your leaders did because this caution should help them a little bit on fuel, as it looks like we're going to go into overtime. Your leader is Ken McCall Jr., Kyler Wynn second, Jason Maines third, John Ward fourth, and George Fonseca back inside the top 5.
Yeah, good to see him there, and then you're going to see Mason Cassidy get his lap back. Good to see him get back up on the lead lap. Maybe he can come back to the front like he started it. Then you have Vondel only truck a lap down.
Well, this is probably about the first point in the race. We're not going to have to worry about seeing anybody save any fuel. And we're really going to have a chance to showcase what these guys can do here with the way these trucks feel now, that new package here in these last couple laps. And looks like we got a little smack talk here in the chat. Well, we had Robert Miller earlier rooting on McCall Motorsports. Shout out to Robert. And it looks like Chris Carter says typical Mullahan. And
Chris Carter in the chat. Oh man, welcome back, Carter. It's been a while.
Absolutely, throwing a little fun shade here at the drivers, but John Mullahan's going to have a lot of work of him to get back up there. But hey, you know, this could be a plus for him and Mark Vondel. If him and Mark link up, of course, they're teammates. Maybe Mullahan gets back to lead and Mark gets his lap back the hard way. Or if we get another caution here, he could also get his lap back. We are going into our first overtime. Same rules as always apply. If we can take the white flag, this thing will end under green and it will be official. However, if everybody piles up and iRacing throws the caution on that first lap, then we will rack them up and try it again. We should be getting the one to go signal this next time. Let's see if we got anybody hanging around that maybe we can pull up in the booth here.
Wait. We got Ambrose if you want to pull him up.
Well, let's see. It's a Wednesday, so I mean, I think it might be a good time to do so. Let's get him in here. Hey, Ambrose, this is Austin and Matthew Baker up in the booth. You got a copy?
Oh, yes. Yes, I do.
All right. Well, we talked about you're always a fan favorite. The one thing right now, you've been a little hard to identify tonight, man. Your truck is just all white. I'm not sure if I'm having an issue or what, but hey, either way, you're going to be starting 8th. You're already up 2 from where you started tonight. You think you got enough what it takes here to maybe go up and contend for a win?
You know, I've been having a problem with trading paints. So yeah, it's white for me too, so it's not just you. The thing is that I just had to restart my wheel and having an issue here. And now I've asked for an EOL because I'm not sure my shifter is going to work. So I didn't want to mess up the race here. But if my shifter does work, yes, I'm going to run to the front and I'm going to win this thing.
Well, I'm not going to lie. Me and Baker, we're pretty rooting for you up here right now. So go see if you can somehow win this thing for us, and maybe we'll be talking to you again here.
Roger that. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
That's Ambrose Kinney, but looks like he might be working with Chad Ross tonight. But, man, I always love talking to that guy for sure. Kyler Wynn looking like going to be starting on the inside here. And if we're going to talk about blocks, I think Kyler certainly has the will to make a block if he has to, if that's what it's going to take here.
Yeah, well, he's got Jason behind him. I don't understand. I mean, I guess I get the move from Ken wanting to start up top. He's got his team made up there. It makes sense, especially coming down to it. But if Jason can save enough temps here, I think they have a real shot here to clear up if they can get a good start on the bottom.
Absolutely, it's going to be push to shove, but you know, maybe Ken tries to set himself up that way. Maybe he's hoping they could maybe try to box him in here. You figure if he gets a good restart, he can maybe drop down, and then if John Ward is side by side, you know, Josh McCall being up there too, Danny Esserman as well, all of a sudden Kyler Wynn, Jason Maines might be trapped, and their best bet is going to have to be falling back, trying something different. And by that time, they might just straight run out of time. Who knows? It's going to be wild. It's going to be crazy. And we are getting ready for overtime number 1 here at Talladega.
First green, white, checkered we're going to see in this new damage model, this new draft package. It's going to be a ton of fun here as we're coming to the Geico restart zone.
All right, Ken McCall Jr., Kyler Wynn, John Ward, Jason Maines, Josh McCall, George Fonseca, green flag back in the air. Looks like a good even restart this time. I think the advantage is going to go to Ken McCall Jr. here across the line. John Ward is already linked up. But again, these things take some time to crank up, and can the bottom hold even for long enough? The 92 is really pushing, but now Jason Maines has got on the bumper of his teammate. They might have a shot at getting clear here off of turn 2.
And you got that side drive from Kenny. That's exactly what you wanted to see. Everyone's going to be locked onto the bumpers here. You're not going to see Jason lift off the bumper this entire time if he got his temps down. Same thing with John as well. If you see Kenny clear here, look for him to take it to the bottom side.
And it looks like he does. Sure enough, he goes to the bottom. That is going to box in the mains group. John Ward up top. Kyler Wynn not going to shy away from pushing, but you know the 03 is feeling a lot more comfortable now where he leads. The question is, can Kyler Wynn get cleared, make a move to the outside? Now we're going to see a third lane get formed. What can they do up top? We are coming to the white flag through the tri-oval. How about Chad Ross up top with Ron Morse Jr. 3x3? Can Ken McCall Jr. hold on for one more lap?
That side draft's going to kill that middle lane. Look for Kyler Wynn to try and get Chris clear, or Kenny clear, sorry, maybe himself clear. But you're going to see a side draft from Ward. It's going to pull Kyler up. They're locked on together. They've got the pusher pushing the pusher with Jason, pushing Kyler, pushing Kenny as you see Ward up top. They get a good run down the backtrack. It's going to be even here. It's going to be a drag race to the finish line.
And if you're Kyler, you can push as hard as you want, but as long as John Ward still has a decent push from the 05, he's going to stick it to that left rear, and there's absolutely nothing the 82 can do. Can we see one more three-wide move from Chad Ross and Ron Morse Jr.? Other than that, it could be a drag race coming to the line. Final push effort here through the short chute into the tri-oval for the final time. Jason Maines pushing Kyler Wynn. Now they wash up a little bit. Side by side to the line. It is going to go to Ken McCall Jr. He wins it on the inside.
Great push by Kyler Wynn. As we talked about, one of the most aggressive pushers in the game, one of the most aggressive racers in the game, gets Kenny the win. The GOAT here in money racing.
As sideways as some of those trucks were, I cannot believe that we made it all the way, but that's just part of that new draft package. Guys can handle them a lot better.
And a great finish. This draft package is going to create some good finishes. You know what we didn't talk about all race? Netcode. And I'm so glad that we didn't talk about netcode this entire race.
You're certainly right, and we did see plenty of close quarters racing, so Ken McCall Jr. brings home the win from McCall Motorsports. His teammate gets second. Good night here from McCall Motorsports. Kyler Wynn third. Another McCall Motorsports driver in the money in fourth. Jason Maines rounding out your top 5 and paid positions tonight in 5th.
It looks like we got Kyler Wynn here. Third place finisher in the booth. Kyler, you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, it was a great race. Talk about this new draft package and this new pushing that you get with this damage model. How much fun are you having out there with this new truck?
It's way better. You can push. I mean, it's kind of dumb. Like, I didn't lift for the last 2 laps, and Ken did not move at all, and Jason was also not lifting. But I like it. It suits. I'm really good in the A car, and I think it's similar to the A car. So I think you'll see me in a lot more of these races now with this new draft model or damage model or whatever this thing is.
Yeah, definitely. And what I like about it, like I called it, just like you said, it's like a mini next gen. It's going to definitely teach people how to push the pusher and how to stay locked on. And I think that'll translate to everyone getting better in the A car. Maybe we could put some A car money races on. But nonetheless, good finish for you. Third place finish, pushing Kenny there. Anyone you want to thank?
Yeah, just Jason Maines, Dylan C. Jones. We had it, I think, compared to those other guys before that yellow, but oh well. Great race. Great group of guys in here. It's fun.
Well, thanks for talking to us, Kyler. Hopefully we talk to you again.
Yep.
And to find the McCall Motorsports group, I think I'm going to have to hop over there, so I'm going to leave my co-host for just a minute. Actually, you know what? I take that back. Let's see if we can get these guys to come in here. You know, I'll tell you what, Baker, I would have thought by now everybody would have kind of got the memo that after a money race, top 3 go to the booth, but here we are.
Well, we got one.
Yeah, certainly that's true there. And, you know, I like the point that Kyler makes there at the end. Almost reminds me of when the Next Gens had first came out when they had updated the draft package, where it seemed, at least for me, it was really fun at first, and I still liked it. But there's still a little tweaking that has to be done in the sense of you can't have 4 rows deep of trucks, all full throttle, bumper to bumper, and nobody's making any progress. So we'll see how they decide to go about that. But you certainly saw that a lot of pushing, and if you can get to the bottom, doesn't matter how hard you get pushed, it seems like you'll be able to hold on to it.
Absolutely, and it was a lot of fun watching this race. I think the side draft parameters are going to get updated, which means that middle line's going to be a lot more dominating than what we've seen before. But we said the bottom is probably going to get it done, and Ken got to get clear from the middle, and Kyler Wynn stayed on his bumper the whole time. We got John and Kenny waiting for us.
We certainly do. Let's pull up second place finisher. That's John Ward. John, this is Austin in the booth. You got a copy. Hey, John, this is Austin and Baker up in the booth. You got a copy?
I got a copy.
All right. Well, you and your teammate bring home a 1-2 finish. Looked like you guys played a little strategy at the end, but the first thing I want to ask you is, man, it seemed like you just couldn't quite get the run on that last lap. What was it like from your point of view?
It was intense from my point of view, but yeah, we never got the run that we needed. They were real strong on the bottom. I know they were going to get lined up, and Kyler and Main's back there pushing, but Josh, my teammate, did a good job pushing me. I was just glad to get second there. They had a good run on the bottom. With this new package, it seemed like the bottom gets a real good push. They can move.
Well, a great finish here tonight once again. Hey, I wish I had more to ask you tonight, but it was a pretty mellow race besides the end, and you bring home second. Congrats on it. Before we let you go, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out tonight?
Just shout out to McCullough Motorsports and you guys for doing the broadcast, and Jeff for putting on the race.
All right, sounds good. Well, thanks for talking to us, John. Congrats on the second place finish. And that leaves us with the man in charge, Ken McCall Jr. Ken, this is Austin and Baker up in the booth. You got a copy?
Hell yeah, let's go.
All right, man. Well, the signature call for a phenomenal win here tonight. First of all, was that restart there? Me and Baker were kind of scratching our heads just a little bit. We were kind of wondering why you chose the top, but it worked out. What were you thinking on that?
I had a teammate up there, and I knew that he would stick with me. I didn't have no plans to drop, but once I got clear, I knew Kyler would push me regardless. I mean, when you're down on the bottom, you have no choice but to push and keep pushing. Glad John came home with second there. Kyler did a good job. Got to thank him for pushing me to the win for sure.
Well, the other thing I want to ask you is, we know you've been around. You have seen a ton of different draft packages, racing these trucks longer than I've had iRacing. And what is your take so far on this new draft package?
Best thing they've done in a long time. I love the new draft packages. It's real fun to drive.
All right. Well, hey, congrats on the win tonight. Before we let you go, though, is anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, thank you for doing the broadcast, man. You do a hell of a job. Thank Jeff for putting this thing on. Got to thank them McCullough Motorsports drivers. Good group of guys for sure.
All right. Well, thanks for talking to us, ladies and gentlemen. Ken McCall Jr., your winner tonight here at Talladega. All right. Well, that's just about going to wrap things up. A couple more notes, including the results here before we do officially finish things up. Bringing home the win, we just talked to him. That's the man, Ken McCall Jr. His teammate John Ward finishes second. Kyler Wynn finishes third. Josh McCall fourth. And Jason Maines rounding out the money in your top 5 position. John Mullahan sixth. George Fonseca, I know he didn't get in the money, but that's a good run for him tonight, finishing in 7th. Chad Ross 8th. Ron Morse Jr. 9th. And Danny Esserman rounding out the top 10.
Dylan Jones in 11th, Mason Cassidy in 12th, Ambrose Knable in 13th, and you got Mark Vondell in 14th.
All right, Baker. Well, we're going to get to see more of this draft package tomorrow, and I don't know if you'll get to see any more, but you can certainly get yourself racing some more either in that race tomorrow, or don't forget FEG-PC does have some more money racing this Friday with that doubleheader. First race, green flag at 9 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you check it out. Looks like we did have some compliments in the chat. We certainly appreciate it. Michael Triscaro, rooting on Kenny, says great job in the booth. Robert Miller says good win. Chris Carter says great commentating. J.R. Miller says see everyone tomorrow. And Baker's mom says thank you guys for broadcasting. Well, we thank you guys for coming out. We certainly hoped you enjoy it. Baker, thanks for joining me tonight. I know it was a little bit on short notice, but we certainly had a good time having you here. And, man, I'm excited for tomorrow.
Man, I am so excited for tomorrow. It's going to be a field about 3 times as big. You're going to see huge runs coming, huge checkups in the middle like we saw yesterday. It's going to be the best teams coming out on top and some of the most aggressive drivers coming out on top tomorrow. Definitely going to be the one to watch.
Indeed. Well, make sure you tune in tomorrow. But until then, I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their night, and we'll see you tomorrow.